Hello, my friends. Just wanted to show you this budget saber that I picked up from TXQ. It's reminiscent of Anakin's saber from Revenge of the Sith. And I personally paid about $70 for this hilt. And the quality is quite impressive for what it is. I mean, look at that D-ring. Usually don't get a D-ring that's quite that nice on a saber of this price. The T-grips are separate pieces held on by rivets. Again, not something you will find. It has a budget TXQ soundboard as its source for sound effects and lighting. It has a backlit switch. Good quality knurled section reminiscent again of Anakin's saber. The aluminum is brushed, which is a very nice effect. It has several windows. There's a pair of blade retention screws, and then this screw helps to secure the soundboard in place. And a couple greeblies here, and another window. The greeblies are, if I can get this to focus, very nice greeblies. They're just there for aesthetic purposes. They don't hold on the blade or anything to that effect. Overall, for quality, I would say that for the price, TXQ has really hit this one out of the park. If you're, looking to buy a saber on a budget and you don't have very much money to work with, yeah, this one's a pretty good value for your money. The Achilles heel of this hilt is pretty much its complete and utter lack of a speaker, which I'll show you. Threading here is really nice. As stated, just about everything else in this hilt is very well constructed. The soundboard tends to lack some features. There's the grip section. One thing I want to point out is there's one screw, just one, that's different from the rest, holding the grips on. And there's the D-ring, very nice D-ring, very well constructed. And here's the soundboard and the speaker for what it is. The battery, lithium-ion battery. So it's a very small speaker and not very bassy at all, and it seems to be mostly covered up with plastic and has little vent holes here. So the effect is once you put this on, there's really not a whole lot of venting. So even on the loudest setting, this tends to be rather soft. That's the loudest setting. To turn the saber on, just hold the button. Then you hear the chime. And to turn the saber on and ignite the blade, just press the button. So we have smooth swing, blaster deflect, clash, and for lockup, if I'm not mistaken, bear with me here, I think you want to hold the button and then press it again. Yeah. And then hit the button again to turn it off. So it's basically you hold it and then you press it again. And to turn off, you just press it one more time. And then turn the saber off. Just hold that till it turns off. So as far as features go, there aren't too many. You have volume control by holding it for one blink. You get mute. Low volume, which really isn't that much distinguishable from high volume due to the nature of the venting in the speaker, which I've shown you.
High volume.
There's no control for the no control for the blade effects. You don't get a pulse or a flicker or unstable blade or anything like that. But for the font change, you hold this for 2 blinks. I'm not actually going to demo the sound fonts. I'm just going to play the cues for them, the boot sounds.
I've been waiting for this day for a long time.
Because you get the general idea of what each of them should sound like.
Final steps. Number 1. Plastic wrap on. Vader. And Solo. The Force is with you, young Skywalker. You're not a Jedi yet.
So it's a decent selection of sound fonts, and they all sound fairly accurate. I mean, obviously they don't flourish very well with the low volume of the Hilt, which is pretty much why I haven't demoed them, because, I mean, other than the one that you're going to hear, you get the gist. While the blade is ignited, if you hold this for 2 blinks, I believe it goes through, manual color change. You have to hit the button until you get to the color that you want, and then you hold it, and the color is locked in. For 3 blinks, it'll automatically cycle through the colors for you. When you get to the color that you want, you have to really kind of tap the button rapidly. If you hold the button too long, it will make noise, but it just keep cycling, so you really have to tap it quickly to lock in the color that you want. Now, the one thing I will say that I haven't mentioned is the blade that TXQ gives you. It's a really nice blade. It's got kind of a satin finish. The LEDs are sufficient that the color really, you probably can't get too much of a sense of it, but the color is really even through this blade, and it just feels like a high quality, very durable blade, much more durable than I would say that this blade is it's a step up from what you would get from LGT, and I could actually see myself buying some of these blades for some of my non TXQ or LGT hilts. You know, this blade would be sufficient on a nicer hilt, but so even with the T grips, this is a fairly comfortable hilt. You're mostly avoiding the T grips when you're handling it, unless you're holding it by two hands. There's no accent swings to the smooth swing, but it is very responsive. The you really have to wail on it to get the clash to kick off, which is nice because you don't have to really worry too much about the clash accidentally setting off while you're swinging the thing, like you do with an LGT soundboard. So for what it is, it's fairly refined. The location of the button, you are going to accidentally, kick that off every once in a while. And the windows are very nice on this. The backlit switch stays blue, doesn't change color with the blade color. But I find the blade colors are all rather satisfying. They're very nice. This blue is more of a medium blue, reminiscent of the medium blue you would get off of a Saber Forge set of LEDs. And as I said, they're very bright. And for the most part on this hilt, other than the speaker, TXQ they've really provided a decent bit of quality on this saber. I got a scratch here. I'm not sure where that came from. That's new. Interesting. Anyway, so that is well, I'll have to look up the name. You know that TXQ uses these nondescript names for their hilts, and then they get mass produced and sent out to other companies, and then they get renamed. But I'm gonna call this an Anakin. It's basically a fairly decent Anakin. I do have the TXQ Anakin saber, which is very, very nice. This is just sort of a budget version of the same thing. And I paid, I believe I paid $70 for this. Yeah, it's a really, really nice hilt for the price. And as a starter saber, I think you definitely get your money's worth with this thing. The only thing that limits its effectiveness obviously is the volume. If a loud saber is your jam, then this is obviously not the route you're going to go. But if you want something that's well made, it'll probably last a good long while not breaking the bank. And if the sound isn't that loud, if you're going to be more or less playing around with a thing in your home, and you don't want to disturb anybody, yeah, this is the way to go.